For the first time in history, people aren't having kids. And I feel like I might have a unique perspective as a woman of birthing age. So firstly, let's talk about stats. I'm going to mostly talk about the US, but a lot of countries are facing this problem. The US fertility rate is 1.62, way below the replacement rate. Like, we kind of need people to have 2 to 3 kids to replace the aging population. It's a bit of a problem. It was less of a problem with all the immigration in the US, but that's kind of being what's happening there. So
are you a US citizen?
South Korea is even worse. It's 0.72. 0.72, which is the world's lowest. Like, Jesus. Nobody's having a kid over there. But then there's other countries also having the issue. It's kind of an issue just in general in all modern countries. Like, the really poor countries are still having. I want to talk about my thoughts on it as somebody that wants kids. There's a lot of people that don't want kids. I think that in this conversation, a lot of people harp on social issues and like work and stuff like that. And while I do think that that's a factor, I think the main thing is the economy. Like, just money. The main issue is money. In fact, like, none of the people I grew up with like have kids. I'm in my late 20s. Oh, scary to say that. I'm 27, and everybody I know is probably between like their mid 20s to mid 30s. Basically, none of them have kids. Most of them want them. And I think the main thing is money. Like, people just don't feel secure. Housing is at a record time expensive. You know, most people would be working towards a down payment or be very close to. By the time you're 30, you'd be really close to having a house, if not already have one. And that's not the case anymore. In my opinion, that's the biggest pain, is housing. So once you have a house or a condo or something, or townhome, that's not the biggest drain, because rent is a huge drain. Not that the mortgage is not a drain, because you are still paying a mortgage, but it's different. It's not like, it doesn't feel like you're throwing money into the ether. So it feels a bit more secure, and it's like an asset that you could sell and do things with if like push came to shove. Yeah, I think it, like, that's what it boils down to is money. Is like, if you went and did all the things right, like we were told to do, like the Gen Z, you would have gone to school and taken out loans, and that would put you on an average debt of $30,000 plus. You're already behind. You already fell behind because you're already in debt. Let's say that you managed to get a good job, like you're a nurse or something, right? Your salary would be like completely gone when you account for rent and all the cost of living and the inflation and all of that. So that's like no money left over. If I had to put it in like a pie chart, is I feel like Gen Z is extremely squished when it comes to financials. That's the number one most pressing issue. And if inflation continues at the rate that it is going, that's only going to get worse. Every time I watch videos about this topic, everybody goes on and on about like social stuff, and I really think that most people do want kids, and it's not like a social construct or something. Like, they do want them. They're fun. But I think the main reason they're not having them is due to the financial constraints. If you take these group of people and you squeeze them and you load them up with debt, they can't afford anything, and then you also throw a kid on top of that, like, they're not going to want the responsibility for that. The social aspects are a little bit less. There's two things. Is I think that people struggle to find a partner because there's, in my opinion, like, too much choice. When you have things like Tinder and social media, like, it's like when you walk into a Walmart and you walk into the chip aisle and there's like rows and rows of chips, you kind of don't know, like, do I want salt and vinegar or do I want sour cream and onion? A lot of illusion of choice. I see people struggling to get into committed long-term relationships, and I think it's because of the illusion of choice. I'll try to put stats, and I'm talking a lot about my anecdotal evidence as somebody in the generation that is causing this issue, but I'll try to put stats to all the things that I'm talking about. So we inundate people with debt. We give them the illusion of choice because of social media, and then on top of all of that, in like their developmental like core years where they start making decisions, we lock them all up with COVID, and we just tell them they can't go anywhere and cause like a mass panic, and then everybody's like online and stuff, which I also think affected things. Like, I think it made people a little bit more like socially awkward and things like that. But I think that aspect is also like a lesser factor. All of the social aspects, I think, are way less than people harp on. Then we have the career thing, which people talk about a lot. Yes, it's more of a drain on a woman to become pregnant because it does prevent you from potentially doing certain things, but there's also a lot of companies that offer really good benefits, and honestly, if you have a semi-decent job, you'll have maternity leave and a lot of the things that would facilitate that for you. I think just the core issue there is that you have a partner that is useful, like that they're not like just like, oh, that's the woman's job to do all that, and they don't want to like help change diapers and stuff. So I'll say like it's if you have a supportive person, then that career thing is a little bit less of a like a scary thing. I get really frustrated actually when I see like really rich people, like some rich YouTubers I follow and stuff, and they say that they don't want to have kids because it'll stop their career. I'm like, I don't really see how. Like it is more work, but you can get sitters if your partner's supportive. They can take care of the kid. Like there's things you can do, and then when they're a little bit older, there's daycare and things like that. Like back to the money subject, actually, that's a huge one. Daycare is extremely costly. So, you know, if you want to continue working so you can afford the other things, you have to pay for daycare, and then the daycare is super costly. So yes, I'll say, but I'll say that all of the issues that people harp on, they go back to money, and people don't touch on that enough. As long as you have a supportive partner, that your career shouldn't like be destroyed or something. In fact, like I think it like could be nice to, if you have like a corporate girly job, like to take 9 months or something off. Maybe not 9 months. You get like three to 6 months or something is usually what I see going around. Like I think that'd be kind of nice. And some companies actually even offer like stipends and things like that. So there are declining marriage rates, but I think that goes back to what I was saying about the illusion of choice. Is I think that we've kind of tricked ourselves into thinking that there's more choice than there actually is, so then you don't kind of like commit to somebody, because really like Prince Charming does not exist. Like you kind of want to just commit to somebody, well, you know, within reason, right? Like you have to align. You just commit, you grow with that person. There is a little bit of a cultural thing where people are like, I don't want to have kids because then I can't travel. And I think culturally, like we also need to like make having kids not seem like the end of the world, because our parents basically said that if you got teen pregnant, that was like the worst thing that could happen to you. And the reason that's bad is because I feel like there's people that don't want kids and they definitely don't want them. They shouldn't have them. There's definitely going to be some people that should have maybe had them, but thought that it would be like a huge inconvenience. It is tough to have kids, but like they also provide a lot of like fulfillment, and they're kind of fun. And I think I haven't had one yet, but I think there definitely is like a PR campaign against having them. And, you know, maybe we can kind of like rethink that a little bit if we want people to have them. Now, in terms of the government offering like subsidies and stuff like that, like I just don't think it's enough. It's so expensive that I don't think that a subsidy of, okay, great, like houses are at $420,000 or something, that's like the average, but then the government offers you a $1,200 check. Like it's like throwing a drop in the bucket. I would say just overall, like the cost of everything has to go down. Yeah, I don't know what solves that, or maybe making childcare, like having like affordable childcare. I don't know how that would be subsidized either. I'm not an economist, but those are just the problems I foresee. And I think that the biggest piece of the pie chart is there's not like some conspiracy theory or some social thing, or like, oh, women just don't want them anymore. Or I don't know, I've seen like some manosphere podcast say that like they just blame women or something. I don't know. Partners in general have to step up, and money, like, and a little bit of like a cultural PR campaign that kids don't suck, because people definitely make it seem like it's the end of the world. And I mean, it is difficult, but I don't think it would be the end of the world. They'd be kind of fun. Not like completely selfless, like we need more humans, so like prevent people from doing that, you know? So it's probably in our best interest as society and the world to not prevent people from doing it, or like maybe help facilitate it somehow. I saw like a pretty crazy stat that like there's more women in their 40s having kids than teen moms. That's like pretty crazy. That's how much the PR campaign of like children suck. But I also think it takes people a longer time to like feel comfortable enough financially to be able to do it. So I think mostly it's finances. That's like what it boils down to.